Okay, so we are learning state and props in React, right? Today we'll also learn more topics in. Can you please confirm that that my voice is clear to you all?
Yes, Ram.
Okay. Okay. I'll share my screen. Actually, let me share. So please, okay. So in React, we know how to create components, right? So we know how like function components and class components.
Class
Okay.
comp.
So these are two different ways to create components. So today, as you already know, we are working with function components, but we'll try to understand the class components. Okay. So it's somewhat difficult for you to understand the class components. Uh, like I think all of you know that we can create classes in JavaScript, same like other programming languages. So let me show you with our project. So put this in trash. Okay, please note, like if while you are listening, right? Please note the points. Whatever I'm telling you, please note it down. Like most of them, I wanted everyone to write some running notes. Um, okay, so create, I'll delete all these components. Okay, and I'll create a new component now. So I don't want all this. Why I am telling you class components, even though we don't have usage of it. Okay, you'll get to know. Okay, so you have to learn life cycles of a component. So that's why I'm telling you this. So let me create a new folder called components. Components, right? So I'm also running this project. So it's open here, localhost 5173. And okay, so our project is up and running. Now we we know how to write a function component, right? But we don't know how to write class component. So I'll create one simple component, okay, by taking real world example. Let's say there is some component called user profile, okay, dot .jsx. So you create a file first, user profile dot .jsx like this. And if the component is having two words, right? Then you make the first word capital. So user is one word and profile is another word, right? So if you have two words or three words, the first letter of the each word should be capital. Now user, U is capital, right? Profile, P is capital. So if you have three letters, three words, every word you should write like this. Okay. And create a class component. So how you will create? You use this class keyword. Okay. Give the class name and make sure that this class name is matching with the file name. The class name is matching with this file name, user profile. I created this component, right? How many of you agree with me that this is a component? Who is if I tell now user profile is a component, how many of you are agreeing with me? Tell me in the chat or speak up. Is that a component?
Yes, sir. It is a class component.
Okay. Who is that? Bhagavan?
Yes, sir.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone else? Do you think this is a component? No, this is not a component. Bhagavan, Naresh, you are all wrong. Okay. See, this is a simple JavaScript code. This is not a React component yet. How how someone will become a component? See, in Super Mario game, right? Super Mario, I think everyone knows this game. So when he tries to eat food, right? Like there will be some food. So when he tries to eat food, he'll become something bigger or some powers, additional powers he will get, right? Super Mario game. I think who knows Super Mario game? Like, see, Super Mario is a just a game. Okay, it's a game. In that game, a character is there. So he eats a food. Then he'll get some powers, right? So in the similar fashion, this is a simple JavaScript class. This is not a component. When see, for example, component is having life cycle, guys. Okay, how we are how a human being is having life cycle? Like we born or birth, right? Then what? We grow up, right? Most of them will get worried if I say this, death or die, right? So in the similar fashion, this is our life cycle, right? We change every day, we update every day, right? When we grow up. So in a similar fashion, component will also have its own life cycle. What are the life cycles of component? Mounting, updating, and unmounting. Okay. This is also called as mounting means first rendering. Okay. When the component first rendering means what? Displayed in the browser or like in the web page. Rendering. Updating means re-rendering. Okay. And unmounting means disappearing or vanish, whatever you can call. Mounting, updating, and unmounting. These are the three stages of um, of of the component life cycle stages. How butterfly will have different life cycles, right? First it will be egg, then it will become caterpillar or something, then it will become butterfly, right? So,
Yes.
so in the similar fashion, component will also have these life cycles: mounting, updating, and mounting. Three life cycles. But there is also one more life cycle. You have to remember: error handling. Okay. This is not that important as of now for you to understand, but most of them will tell only there are three life cycles. But no, there is also a fourth life cycle, that is error handling. At any stage, any mounting, updating, or unmounting stage, if you get error handling is a also a stage. Okay. Let's say we feel sick, right? Then we go to hospital, right? Same manner. Error handling will also there. This is also one of the stage in our life cycle, like in component life cycle. Sorry. So now there are few methods for this. Okay, like component did mount. So this method, right? This method is actually it's like this is actually not. So there is no way that we created. Okay, like this method in class we can write variables, right? Variables and methods, right? I think you all learned in your programming oops concept, encapsulation. Okay, variables and methods you will write in the class. So this methods, right? This methods already written by React team, and you override those. These will be called automatically. These methods you need not to call this method. You need not to call like this. So this is a method you declared here, defined here, and you call that method, right? But you need not to call the methods. The methods will automatically get called by React during the life cycles. Automatically calling. Please note this word: automatically called methods. So already React team, they wrote these methods. They defined these methods. So how do I get those methods? I write like there are many methods. Okay, component did update. For updating stage, we have this method. So how do I use the method that already React team defined? So you have to extend here. Extend with, see, React team already wrote a base component. When you inheritance concept, this is okay. Oops concept, we have inheritance, right? So this React dot component is a class already defined in React library. So you just extend this, and this our component, extend it with the React base component. So you import React here from React like this, right? Or else you can directly write component here and give a comma and write component here. So now what happens, now the magic comes. Now this is a component. Previously, it's not a component. When this user profile becomes component, when you extend it with the base component, all the functionalities, already they created a component class. Already React team defined the lifecycle methods. Okay. So now if I just type C, you see all the methods. I'm getting IntelliSense in VS Code. Previously, see, if I remove this and I type C, right? Am I getting that life cycle methods? No, right? This- Sorry, is someone asking question or what? Okay. So you're not getting Naresh? You're not understanding Naresh? Naresh, can you speak? Are you not getting? Hello? Guys, someone please speak, okay?
Hello, Ram.
Yes, Naresh, you are not understanding?
No, no, no. I understand it.
Oh, okay. 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 So see, when I type C, right, I'm not getting all the intelligence. Okay. VS Code, we have intelligence. Okay. It will detect all the methods. So when you extend here, right, when you extend that base component from the React, okay, then you see this is the difference. Did mount, did update, will unmount, did catch. All these methods. So for example, I will now write did mount. Okay, this is mounting. So this method will automatically called. Okay, this is method override. Like we are overriding this method. So let's say I write something here, console.log. Okay, rendering, rendered or rendered. Okay, component rendered. Okay, so what else we need in the class component? There is a mandatory method, that is render method. That method should return some UI. Okay, so this render method is a mandatory method in class component. So you have to return something here. Return, um, like let's return user profile component. Okay, just I'm typing this, and you see this user profile is not exported, right? So I'll export this. Export default user profile. Okay. So now I use this user profile, this exported one, in our app component here. Okay. So user profile. Right. Now let's see. Like I'm running the server, right? Let me copy. Okay. So the component rendered. Okay. So now am I calling this function? Am I calling this function? No, right? See here, if I inspect console, you see component rendered. This is coming from user profiles page, a component, line number 7, component rendered. See here, I wrote this console log, right? So all the code that is there in this curly brackets will be automatically called and executed. You need not to call this. You just write, define this. That's it. Why this is useful? To perform side effects. Okay, I'll tell you what side effect is. Not today, maybe tomorrow. What is a side effect? Note it down. What is a side effect? You should know what is a side effect. See, for example, when we go to Amazon or some website, right? Amazon. some website. We go here, right? Let me click this air conditioners. Okay. So when I click air conditions, right? See how the list is coming here. How the list is coming. I'm not performing any operation. I'm not doing anything. Just I clicked here. It redirected me to a different page, and here I am getting the list of air conditioners. How I am getting this? Because they are making an API call here. Okay. So when this component loads, API call, when this component loads or renders on the screen, right? On the screen. So automatically API call is sent. Okay. Like slash products. So you call the API and you fetch the products and display it here. Okay. So to make API calls, this is the best place to write that API logic. Okay, that is called side effects. What is side effect? If you are interacting with external APIs or external systems, then that is side effect. Okay, I'll tell you more detail what is side effect. But now you mostly use this for making an API call. When this component loads, so this is user profile component, right? So maybe I will make an API call to get custom user information. Maybe I will do that operation here. Okay. So in this way, now you see component rendered. So whenever I refresh, right here, whenever I refresh, component gets rendered every time. So if I like, so let me show the example of updating. Okay, updating. So how you will write state in how you will use the state. So let's say there is some state user. Let's find out user like sorry. Mm, so let's write like this state. So we wanted to check user is online or not. Okay. First user will be false. Is not online. Okay. So what I will do, I'll make this user like let's say like here component did update. I think this explaining you did update, this will be over complicated to you. Okay. Um, see, I have to change the state. So when state or props change, right? At that time, this will automatically call this function. When this is online is there, right? Now, for understanding, I'm telling you, if this becomes true, right? State changed, right? State is changed from false to true. So whenever the state changes, state or props changes, then this will get called. Okay. So I'll give example. Currently, you won't understand. I can write code. I can also explain you, but you won't understand. But let me write the code first. Okay. I'm writing the state here. Please listen carefully. Okay. State. We have a state here. Is online. You will write state like this. You don't use effect. Use state hook. Class components won't have that feasibility to use hooks. So you will write like this only. So what happens is, like what I will do after, like after this, I'll just add here one button. So in this button, I'll show the I will show the um, this one is online or not. So you how you will write the state here? This dot state dot is online. Like this you will write. Okay. So this button. So based on this, if this value is true, then I'll show online. If that is false, I will show offline. Okay, this is conditional rendering. Okay, so now this is online is false, right? So false means offline. So that's why you see here it is offline. Okay, so when I click this, I want to change the state. How you will change the state in a class component? You have to use a method. Okay, so here on click. So on click handle handle status. Okay, handle status. So I will call this handle status function. So you can write this is a custom function. You have to write this again. There is no this usage in function components, but in class components you have to write this. So when I click on click right, this dot handle status will get called. So how I can call? So here I will write handle status like this. So when I click this, I will change the state. How I will change this dot set state. The set state is also a function. You have to call this. So what you will pass to this set state? The same object that you are writing here, you pass here and make this true. So whenever I like now component rendered, right? Whenever I change the state, what happens? Set state cannot read properties of undefined. Okay. This dot. Uh, let me check. Reading set state. This dot set state. Uh, I almost forgot using class components, but you have to get the concept. Okay. Let me call like this. Click here. Online. Okay. Now it's working. Okay. I'm calling with arrow function syntax. Okay. Today I will tell you how to write arrow function. Okay. So here, what I'm doing, I'm like instead of making this false to true, what I will do, I will write not of this dot state dot is online. Okay, what happens with this? It will toggle. Okay, it will toggle. Now it is offline. When I click, you see offline, online, offline, online, right? Are you able to see this? So it is
Yes.
changing. The state is changing, right? So how much code we are writing, you see, it almost went up to 40 lines. All this with function components, just you will get to 5 to 10 lines. That's it. That's why we are using function components. You see how much complex it is to write class components. Every time you have to use this keyword here, this dot handle status, this dot state dot is online. Here also you use this dot set state, this dot state dot is online, right? So we don't know whether the component is re-rendering or not, right? So now I will write console.log re-rendered, re-rendered component, here component rendered here component re-rendered. Okay, so now I'll show. See, first time component rendered, right? But when I change the state, okay, the component re-rendered. Understood? When state or props changes, right? Most probably I'll tell you how props change, but currently focus on state change. See, first the state, what is the state? False. Okay. But what I am doing here, if it is false, when I click this button, I'm calling this function, this dot handle status. So here, what it is doing, it is setting the state with a new value. For example, is online is false by default. What I'm doing, not of false. What not of false? True. So I'm setting is online to true. If it is true, I'm setting to false. So I'm toggling. Okay. So whenever I change state, how many times like I change state, you see here the number increment. Every time this is getting logged. Whenever the state changes, this component did update. You ask question yourself like component did mount, component mount ainda, right? Component mount aite, I will execute. Component update aute, I will execute. I will run. Okay. Similar fashion unmount. So I have to write code for removing a component, right? So hiding the component. So in that times, this component unmount will work. I don't want to show unmounting now, but you understand, right? This is the main thing. Component unmount also I will explain in next classes. Error handling, unmounting, no need now. Okay, but you understand, right? First, this is component did mount will render only one time, first time. I already told mounting means first rendering. This will only get called first time when the component is rendered. Rendered means I'll tell you. See, now you have this DOM, right? This DOM, document object model. So rendering means getting the like painting on the screen. Like when this component comes into picture or loads into this DOM. So that is called rendering. Okay. So first time when the component renders, this get called automatically. And whenever the state changes, right? This gets called like component did update. So you will use function components directly, like we use effect hook for all of the life cycles. See here you have different methods, right? Component did mount, component did update, component will unmount, component did catch, all this. When you type here did catch, will unmount, right? So all these not required. Just you understand the concept. What is the life cycle of the component? Okay, not required. You need not to learn everything. Just understand the concept. And you have one hook. So yesterday or day before yesterday, we learned use state hook, right? Use state to manage the state. So we have one more hook called use effect. You see the name effect, right? All hooks actually starting they will have use keyword. Okay, as a best practice, this is the naming convention. They use the word use prefix with use. Every hook is prefixed with a use. Okay, use state, use effect. Effect means to perform side effects to make API calls. So this single hook will do all your heavy lifting. You do not need to understand all these things like component did mount, did update, will unmount, did catch, right? Just you learn this use effect hook, you understand this hook, then everything is easy. So what
In
is
class,
difference
in
here? Mhm.
hello.
Yes. Yes.
Can we use class these hooks in class components?
No, you cannot use. So why
Only
I
we
am
can
taking
use in functions only.
function component? Yes, that is the rule of hooks. There are some
Okay.
rules of hooks. Once I tell you the hooks, I'll let you know what are the rules that we need to follow to use the hooks. Only function components will have the hooks. Okay. So
Okay.
React.js. So previously there is no hooks in React. Okay. Until um until 1816. Okay, I'll show older posts. 16.8. You see, 2019, they introduced hooks. Okay, so this 2019 February. That means like how many years from now? It is 20. We are in 2025. So 2019 only we got
Yes, seven,
hooks.
six,
Yeah,
6 years ago.
yeah, yeah. So they if you go to this, mm, there will be some rules of hooks also. You need not to go through all these things, but um, so they are adding hooks to they added hooks, and you can only use hooks in function components. Okay. See, you see these rules of hooks, right? Mm, okay. No need to get into details into this, but just understand that you have something called hooks. You can use that only in function components, right? So, um, like, see here how I'm changing the state here. I'll write the same functionality in function. You see now how it will work. You see the functionality, right? This functionality component life cycles, same
Yes.
functionality. Now I will write a function component. Okay, then you will understand difference how much simple this is the function components. So I'll write user profile same, but I'll add fn at the end of the component. Okay, fn means function. User profile fn. So same, how you will turn this into a function component. Okay, now I am copying this all everything, and I will show the difference between function and class. Okay, see here I know that I wrote four lines comments, but see here. So this is class component, right? User profile component. And right side, I have function components. So now I will write function component. So function component, user profile, same I will give, but fn, I will add this word fn. Fn means function. Okay. So I'll write like this. I wrote one function. So let's come like this. Do we need this extends component? Do we need this?
No.
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 Yeah. So we don't need that. So do we need to write render method? Here render method is mandatory, right? In class
Yes,
component.
we
Yes,
don't
sir.
need.
Yes, sir.
Uh, we don't need. We directly return some JSX, right? So what I will do first, instead of like writing like this, I will directly copy all the code from here. Okay. Slowly, I will remove all the code. Okay. I'll concise this. So we don't need this extends keyword, right? I'm removing it. I don't need this import at all because I'm not using it. I have to convert this to function. See, currently it is class, right? So I will write this to function. Function fn. Okay, function will have two pairs of curly brackets and parentheses. Now this is a function. function component. So do you need render method? No, just remove render method. Okay. Do you need all these component did update, did mount? No, you don't need that. Okay. So you have these things like, so in class you will write functions like this, methods directly. But in like
By
in
using
functions,
const,
yeah, you write const arrow function syntax like this. Okay, like
yes,
this, or you can write like this, or you can write arrow function syntax. Let me write like this. Arrow function syntax. You write like this. So this state is there, right? I want somewhere. See, is online is the our state variable. So I want somewhere to put this state. Okay. So that's why I use a hook called. So this is not exporting, right? I'll export this. Okay. See, almost we removed lot of code. Now we are going to remove everything. Okay. So I want somewhere. See, we have this state variable and we have this setter function, right? This dot set state. In class, we use this dot set state only to set the state. So here we write, so somewhere like I want state variable, right? So let's take this is online is the state variable. So let's take is online. Okay. So I will use this hook called use state. Where this use state comes from React. I have to import this use state hook. Just hook I have to import and I have to call that hook. So now I added this, right? Is online here. This same thing. Is online, is online. Now this false value is the default value, right? So when I call this hook, I'll provide that value. So then we don't need these lines, right? We don't need that lines. Now this is online is there now. Okay. So here you have this is online. And this hook will also return you one more thing, setter function. Okay. So just wrap here, take an array. Okay. And write a setter function like set is online like this. So now you don't need this. You have this variable and the setter function here now. Okay. So now instead of calling this, directly call this setter function. Okay. Set, sorry, set is online. This function set is online and you pass the value. Okay. You already have is online here. Okay. So remove this dot state is not required. And here I will write function component. And here you set into a new value. So this is false, right? So not of is online becomes true. Okay. Now just we handle the state. How you will handle effect? See, I will load this component also in the app. Okay, app.jsx. I load the function component also. User, okay, profile function. So it's not exported. Export default, something is wrong. What is wrong? Can someone tell what is wrong? User profile FN. This is there. Okay. Okay. Nothing is wrong, guys. It's not IntelliSense is not working. You see, I loaded two components in the app. See, now this state works. Same. This also works. This is top one is class component. below one is function component. See, just we added this one hook line and directly we are calling that setter function and changing the state based on the state. So this left side, whatever is there, all you will use here. See, is online, you are using this. It's accessible here. Set is online, it's accessible here. Okay. So similar, how you will write now how you will write this component did update and did mount and did update. How will write in these functions? I already told you, right? Use effect, use effect hook. So this hook, you pass a function. First argument is a function. This function doesn't this hook doesn't return anything. Like here you are this use state hook, when you call it is returning this values, right? This doesn't return anything. You just write second argument as an empty array. Okay. So here I'll write the same console log. Function component rendered. Okay. This is the syntax. This whatever is there in here in this curly brackets, this will automatically gets called when that component renders. So you see, when I refresh, right? See, component rendered, function component also rendered. How you will write the re-render thing? So when something changes, right? See, when this is online changes, right? So for example, uh, like I will write one more effect, okay? Or else, yeah, I'll write one more effect. So this effect, you can write any n number of effects. Here you cannot write this component did mount multiple times, but here you can write hook. You can call this use effect hook n number of times. So let me console.log function component re-rendered. So here in the dependency array, you see you add this is online as a dependency. Okay. So when you add like this, when I change the state, the function component is re-rendered. Okay. This re-render. Okay, just a minute. First it will first when I refresh, so it's re-rendering also, right? But understand the concept, okay? It's see, first it is rendering and re-rendering also, because first the state is changing. So I'll tell you why it is re-rendering in the first time also. We have to write some conditional if checks here, if else checks. That is not required now, but try to understand. Like whenever I change the component, the state, this code will execute. So this is a dependency. I will tell React, if is online changes, please execute this. Okay, you can also write is online here. Like instead of writing this hook, you can directly write is online. Okay. So see how many times. So now this state, we are dependent on this state. I'm adding this state value to this dependency array. Okay. So here you can add more with comma separated. Now we have only one state variable. So that's why we are writing like this. Okay. So when the state changes, the component again rendering, right? I have only one console log here, that rendered log. But you see, whenever I change, that is rendering, right? So whenever I change this, it is rendering. So this is coming from the class component. So now you tell me how much code it is taking for to write the same thing in class components. See here it touched nearly 40 lines. Here the same functionality, 20 lines. half of the lines are like it's concise, more readable. There is no this keyword. Understood the power of function components, why we are using?
Yes, comparing with class, functions are easier.
Yeah, functions are to write the logic, it is easier to readability is going to increase. Concise
Yes,
syntax, right?
less code.
And with single, yeah, with single hook, you can perform all the operations. Okay, so I'll tell more about this in our next classes. Um, I think this is 1 hour completed, but most of us joined 10 minutes late, right? So I'll tell you, see, you don't like, I know that most of you are not understanding these concepts. I know because you don't know the JavaScript basics, right? If you know JavaScript basics, then how I am coding in the similar fashion. Am I checking any chat GPT or copy pasting the code? Okay. No, right? See, I am typing this code. Similar fashion, you also type the code. When you type the code, then only you will get to know that you are making a mistake. See, I also make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. See, here, when I tried this, I got error here, set state, near set state. Then I fixed it. How I fixed it? Because I tried this multiple times. I practiced a lot. Okay. If I get error, I don't need to check ChatGPT or any other things because I practiced on this. Very fine-tunedly, I practiced. Okay. So, like, if you see, I'll show. I'm not sure this account is not with me. Okay. Mm, don't laugh. This account is not with me, but mm, just start github.com/hyphen. You see this? How many years ago I practiced each single concept? I'll show older posts. Yeah, I have 6 years of experience in React, and each concept, I have all the code snippets here. These are 6 years ago. Okay, I practiced all the concepts. I maintained this snippets. I use this just similar way. You also practice. Okay, difference between like see conditional rendering, lifting the state up, render props, higher order components for. Let me show more examples. Mm, this is context API. Hello world list and keys. Okay, so this is list and keys. So you see this. See, I type this all manually. Do you understand why we need practice? Right? We have to practice. If no copy pasting from other sources. Okay, I'll conclude the call. Like, just give me 5 to 10 minutes. I'll tell you JavaScript arrow function syntax, how to write, and then we can conclude this call. Anyone having questions until this point of time? If, for example, someone is not understanding, let me know because I'll stop here and we will go and learn some JavaScript and then come back here. Someone, anyone don't understand?
That Ram, that
Mm,
open the code.
mm,
Show my code.
mhm.
Uh,
This function
Here,
component and class.
that rendering,
In the function component or class
rendering,
component?
in class
Which
only,
file? Class only.
in
Okay.
class only.
Mm.
What is the use of that rendering?
This is the render method. This one.
Yeah, upset.
This one. Line number. Tell me the line number.
10, 11.
Yeah, 11. This one, right? So just to show you that this function is getting called, I wrote this console log. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. See, some way I have to visually show you that this component is render. This function is called. See, what I'll tell you. Let's go with the example. Okay. Okay, I'll write some JavaScript now. See, I'm not sure whether you are able to see. Right? It's visible. Okay. So now let's take one small example. How you'll write function in JavaScript? Let's say like how you'll write function in Python or Java. Someone know? Someone know how we'll write functions in different languages? Anyone know how to write a function in Java? Anyone? Guys, if I ask something in other languages, then you are not responding. Yeah, diffs
Yes,
or
Ram, I
Please
this
know.
is in Python.
class name.
In Python.
In Python, we use the diff keyword, right? So diff means we are
Yes,
defining a function, right? Yeah, diff,
defining a function, right?
function name. We write function name and we write like this and we like this. So in JavaScript, how we'll write a function? Use this function keyword. Okay, function keyword, and we'll write the function name like this. Okay. So here, if I have to call the function now, I have to call this function. So this is function, right? I'm calling here. Here I'm calling. Here what I'm doing? I'm writing the function definition. Function definition is different. Function calling is different. Okay. So this semicolon. See, function name is different. Uh, so you are calling the function name, right? You are using this function name and calling it. So when I run this, are you able to see what happening? What is function first of all? It is a reusable piece. Okay, reuse. You can reuse whatever you
Yes,
write
yes.
in this function. You can call n number of times so that every time when you call, all the code will execute in this curly brackets line by line. Every statement you write statements right here, function statements. So when you call the function, whatever the code inside this curly brackets will run. You have 100 lines. All the 100 lines will run. 100 statements will run, will execute. Okay. JavaScript executes the code line by line. So for reusable block, okay, reusable building block. What is function? Function means it is a reusable code of a block of code. Okay, this block. So I'm calling this function twice. How do I show you? Are you getting any output here? If I write some console log, right? Called, right? What happened? Console log. I'm not getting the console. Sorry, console I have to. Sorry guys, I'm checking output. Console I have to check. Okay. So when I run this, see, how can I visually show you that I'm calling this function? So just I'm consoling log, a log here, saying that this code is getting executed. See, if you write more lines in this, all lines will run. See, if I write another console, another statement, my name is Ram. So when I run this, Now these two lines gets executed. Why I'm writing console logs here? Just to show you that this function is running. This function is working. See, first this line, what happened? It is logged here. This line is logged. This is a console, and this is each thing is called log, console log. I'm explicitly telling to log this string on the onto the console. So when I call this function, this is getting logged. So in the same fashion, am I calling this component did not? Just this is function definition, guys. I'm not calling. But why this line is getting printed? Because it is automatically called when the component mounts. I think this answers your question, DP.
Yes, understand.
Yeah. Any questions? Anyone else? I'll tell you the arrow function syntax if no questions, but let me know. Any questions? Oh, today I went to office, okay? I met Triveni, Sushmita, and DP, Naresh. Bhagwan, I am not getting a response. Are you coming to office or you want to work from home?
Sir, I have some interviews.
Okay. Yeah, no issues. But just tell me.
Sir,
Okay.
I informed Raju sir.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
come on next week.
Yeah, but next week I might not come. But anyhow, we'll connect. We'll connect, and
Okay, sir.
actually, I want your help in the back end side. Mostly like good to meet few people today in the office. Who is Shiva Govin? Shiva Govin, are you joining new or you are already joining classes from past? Hello. Okay. Any questions? I have to ask one by one, right? Then only you will answer. Triveni, any questions? Sushmita, Chetan, no, no. How many of you found this helpful? The concept of I know that you don't know the syntax of writing all this, but how many of you found this helpful? That we have some life cycle methods, we have component life cycle, we know how to create life cycle, we know how to create manage the state, right? We know now we know a new thing, how to like not how to. We know now that a component is having a life cycle, and there are three life cycles: mounting, updating, and unmounting, and also error handling. So how we can logically write that? Okay, so that's great. Like I wanted this all these three. Again and again I am telling you. Every day we will focus on React, and slowly we will learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript on the side. Okay. So let me tell you the concept of arrow function syntax. Okay. So arrow function? What is arrow function? Anyone know what is arrow function? We use this arrow, this syntax arrow, right? So
Yes, in
just I'm not.
JavaScript we use.
We use arrow function. Previously we don't have okay, online JS compiler. Let's make it. Okay. Okay, I'll write here. We'll use this. Okay. So I will write a function. Okay. Function. Let's write a function for adding a words, adding numbers. Sorry, not words, numbers. Add numbers. So we will add two numbers. Okay. So this is our function name, and one pair of parentheses, one pair of curly brackets. Simple, right? To write a function, it's very simple to write a function. Use the function keyword, function name, one pair of parentheses, one pair of curly brackets, right? So now, in JavaScript, you will write a function like this. Okay. So what is the difference? Like I wanted to know the difference in writing arrow function. So first of all, JavaScript is a uh, language, like it's a language. You can assign a function to a variable because function is a first class citizen in JavaScript. So let's take this. You write like this, add numbers. This is variable, right? Yes, this is variable, right? So I'll write like this. I'll copy this same thing again. Yeah. Just I'll comment this. So now here we are assigning a function to a variable here. You see the difference here? We are assigning a function to a variable. This left side, whatever highlighted, it's a variable. And you are assigning a function definition to it. So now you don't need this because you already have here on the left side. You don't need that name here. What this is called? This is anonymous function. You are assigning anonymous function to this. Okay. So now how arrow function syntax works, I'll tell you. Before going to that, I'll just tell you we have two parameters for this. Let us return a plus b. Okay, like this. So what this do? So when I call this add numbers 2, 3, let's run this. So nothing happens, right? Why? Because we are returning, but we are not logging it. So let's return. So whatever is returned, where it will return, from where you are calling, it will return there. Okay. So let's take one variable and just console log that result like this. Now when you run, see 5, 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5. Okay. So now what is arrow function? There is no arrow, right? So you have to consolidate this to arrow function. So how you will write arrow function? Same way, you take a variable. Okay. So I'll write this add numbers again. So you write arrow here. Okay. This is arrow. What will be there on the left hand side, what will be there on the right hand side is matter. So now you need not to write this function keyword in arrow function syntax. You only write this parenthesis, right? So here you write parenthesis. Okay. Here this side you write curly brackets. This is called head. Okay. This is called head. And this is called function body. From curly brackets, open curly bracket to close curly bracket, it is function body. This is function head. Left side is head, right side is body. Okay. So let's copy this. Let's copy this head on the left side of that arrow. Let's copy this body on the right side of this. Okay. This is arrow function syntax. For arrow function syntax, now how many lines? This is 3 lines, right? This function here, you will write only 1 line function. You don't need this function keyword, remove it. Okay. And um, for example, you don't need this return keyword also. See, here you are writing curly brackets, right? So you don't need this return keyword. You can directly, you don't need this parenthesis also. You can directly, this is called return. So when you can add parentheses here, this automatically returns. When you write curly brackets, right, you have to explicitly write this return keyword. If you don't use this curly brackets, then this will directly return. If you have 1 line, then directly return. Okay. So now you see the same thing. Like I'm commenting this. Now I run. You get error because arrow function, whatever the arrow function is there, you should define this first before using it. See the same thing. This is 1 line. And if you don't have like you can, I think let's remove this also. Sorry. Mm. I'll tell you more about on the left hand side. Like you have to write like this on the left hand side. If you have single value, if you have if you have no values, right? For example, you don't have any parameters, but compulsory you should write this what you say parenthesis. Okay, and a comma b like this. So you'll write most probably you'll write arrow function like this. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's it. This is arrow function syntax. So what will be there on the left hand side? What will be there on the right hand side? You have to understand. And I only told you the syntax. Okay. You should know, like currently you will not get uh, what is the difference between arrow function and regular function. Most asked interview question. What is the difference between a regular function, this function? This is regular function, but this is arrow function. What is the difference? There are a lot of difference, like 4 to 5 points we can say. Okay. And try to add like check in chat GPT, it will give you the answers. Okay. Check. Let me ask now. But you won't understand because you have to understand JavaScript first. Difference between arrow function and regular function in JavaScript. Then syntax difference is there. You see, this is regular function, this is arrow function. And this point, this binding, you don't know this binding. So you cannot use arrow function with the new keyword. Cannot use this arguments object, right? This is implicit return, explicit return. If you use curly brackets, you have to write that return keyword explicitly. Here, implicit return. You need not write a return keyword. Remove that curly brackets. It will automatically return. Hoisting. So if you declare the function below and use it on the above, hoisting. And most of them don't know hoisting, but I'll tell what is hoisting. So there is a hoisting difference. So there are a lot of differences. So like that's all, guys. I'll conclude this call. It's useful, right? It's good, right? Today we learned new things. Tomorrow again we will meet. Uh, Most probably I'll uh, set up a call before. Tomorrow, I am not sure whether I will be available or not, but I'll tell you. Most probably, I'll complete the call and I'll do my works. Tomorrow, I have some other plans because it's weekend. So let's see. Okay, we had like long session. Anyone, anything, questions?